If you like the video or any other content on the channel, feel free to subscribe. Alright, in this video we're going to be going over each of the Custodes detachments in the Codex and giving 3 units that I believe make a great start for building a Custodes list in that particular detachment. Each detachment will have 3 units that I believe are great in that particular detachment that go along with the stratagems in the actual detachment ability. I will have the points in this video because the top units in these detachments can vary so much, just a few points changes. Even then, I think these units will still be quite strong for these detachments. As always, we'll start with the Null Maiden Vigil first. The detachment ability is called Creeping Dread. In the Battle Shock step of the opponent's army, if any enemy unit is below starting strength and within 12 inches of a Psychona unit, the enemy unit must take a Battle Shock test. If below half strength, -1 to that Battle Shock roll. I will admit I still have not played a large 2,000 points game with this detachment. I've tried a few 1,000 point solo games just to test it out. I do have the 3 units I do consider the top for the small range. You can kind of pick and choose just because the range is so small. You pretty much got to use the whole thing in your list anyways if you want to make a 2,000 points. The 3 units that I selected for Null Maiden Vigil, we have the Vigilators. These are our hardest hitting unit in the Psychona model range. A full unit of 10 has 20 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP 2, and damage 2. This can put some very good damage into anything toughness 5 or below, but after that the melee damage really starts to fall off. Anything higher than toughness 5, these things are going to be hitting on 5s and it's really going to put them downhill. The Vigilator's ability of -1 to hit in the melee phase does nothing to help their damage potential, but it does help keep them alive a little bit longer in combat. Taking the maximum amount of Vigilators you could in an army list for the Null Maiden Vigil wouldn't be a bad thing for this detachment. Next we have the Witch Seekers. These are fantastic units for getting up the board early with the 6-inch scout ability. If they are the only unit embarked in a Rhino, the Rhino also gains a 6-inch scout ability. The Flamer attack does cause Battle Shock, which does come in handy for this detachment, which thrives on Battle Shock. Finally, for the Null Maiden Vigil, we have the Psychona Rhino. This unit is a no-brainer. With all the low toughness T3 sisters running around, we will need at least 3 if not 6 of these to taxi around our brittle Psychona units to their destination. If you're seriously considering a Null Maiden Vigil list, these units are an absolute auto-include. When we have an honorable mention down here is Alea, in which she's leading a Vigilators unit. She does give that unit fights first, and that fights first ability is the only fights first ability in our Codex now. Now let's go over the Auric Champions. And the Auric Champions detachment ability is called the Assemblage of Might. And at the start of your command phase, select 1 unit from your opponent's army until the next command phase. Each time an Adeptus Custodes character model makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the wound roll. That can be ranged or melee. We don't have a large pool of characters to select from, but there are a few that I prefer in this detachment. I won't include any non-character units in this detachment's top 3. There is no battle tactics in this detachment and only a few stratagems we really want to be taking advantage of. The stratagems only work on character models. We have the Slayer of Champions, and that is any phase. You can pick a new assemblage of might target if you destroy the one you originally picked. The Emperor's Auspice, and this is in the shooting or the fight phase, a 4-up Feel No Pain. Earning a name for 1 CP in the fight phase, up to 2 Custodes characters can reroll their hits and their wounds if targeting a monster or vehicle. Then we have Superhuman Reserves. This one is a bit more situational. It's used on your Warlord and just resets your Warlord's once per game enhancement or ability, like say Trajan's Moment Shackle. You can reset that and do it again, but it has to be used as you're using an ability, and then you can't use that ability again until the next phase. So you have to watch out if you use it. If they kill your character before you can use your ability again, you just wasted 2 CP. Now to go over the characters that I did select for the top 3 units for this detachment, I do have the Shield Captain Alar's Terminator armor. The Auramite and Adamantine ability allows us to make all incoming damage 1 for a phase, and it really helps make these things into a fantastic utility and speed bump unit. And with the Emperor's Auspice giving this unit a 4-up Feel No Pain, it could potentially tank an entire army's shooting. They're a great solo or with a small unit of Alar's Terminators attached to them. Next we have the Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike, and I like just to have one of these. It is another great target for Emperor's Auspice to keep the Shield Captain around to be an annoying utility unit. I like the speed of the Shield Captain on Jetbike. I like having one solo unit. To fly around the board, stealing objectives and just harassing enemy light infantry that might be along the side of the board that you can fly to and get easily. And then the Lance ability on the melee weapon allows us to use Assemblage Might on a different target than the target that you might be thinking about charging with this Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike, just because you get +1 to wound with Lance, so you don't have to worry about Assemblage of Might because those do not stack. So maybe if you're attacking something with Trajan, you're going to put Assemblage of Might on Trajan's target and you don't have to worry about this guy's target because he already gets +1 to wound. And the last unit for Auric Champions is the big man Trajan Valoris himself. Even though Trajan took quite a few hits from the Codex release, this is probably the only detachment he is worth his points now. It's Trajan. He's not awful, but he's just not as awesome as he used to be. He's not as auto-clued in every list like he used to be. With superhuman reserves, giving a possibility to reset his moment shackle feels awesome. It's just a bit strange having to spend it as you're using the ability, and the restriction is you cannot use the reset ability this phase. So he could die before getting his 12 attacks moment shackle off again. Would make a big waste of 2 CP, but you can also use this in the shooting phase. You pop moment shackle for that 2-up invulnerable save. You use superhuman reserves, and then in the following fight phase you could pop moment shackle for the 12-up attacks or moment shackle for 2-up invulnerable again. Still, it's kind of situational. Even so, Trajan makes a very scary rapid ingress threat. I like to run him solo, but we can run him with a small unit of 4 wardens for the extra protection if needed, but I still think him dropping down solo rapid ingress, 40mm base, so it's harder to screen him off, so you just kind of drop him down, put the 12 attacks into something, and then he's gone. And he makes a great beat stick. He also has a 5-up Feel No Pain built into his data sheet, so you don't have to worry as much about using Emperor's Auspice on him. It's not a battle tactic, so you can use this on another character if you need it to, since you can only use this once per phase. The next detachment we have is the Shield Host. The Shield Host detachment ability is called Martial Mastery. Once per battle at the start of the round, you can use Martial Mastery. If you do until the next round, each Adeptus Custodes model with the Martial Kata ability gains crits on 5s and an extra AP1 on their melee weapons. And in my opinion, Shield Host is the runner-up for being the best detachment. It's the most fun detachment rule in the Codex too, with the crits on 5s. It feels like the Golden Wall. It's a pretty fun detachment rule because a lot of other detachment rules in the Codex are kind of meh and boring to use. These 3 units make a great choice for getting some good reliable damage out of the Martial Mastery ability. Our Martial Mastery phase needs to hit very hard. Shield Host does not have the defensive power now to stand and trade blows like it used to. You need to press the action to be a bit more aggressive in this detachment. And some of the stratagems that will come to play for these units, we have Arcane Genetic Alchemy for 1 CP, and this is a battle tactic that you can use for free with a Shield Captain. Any phase after mortal wounds have been allocated for Feel No Pain to those mortals. This is great because you can wait till you see how many of those mortal wounds that you might be taking before you pop the 1 CP or you use this for free. Then we have Unwavering Sentinels, 1 CP in the fight phase each time a melee attack targets the unit, -1 to hit roll. This used to be fight first. This is what we have now. Then we have one of the new stratagems. It is Multi-Potentiality for 1 CP in the movement phase, fall back, shoot and charge. It's great to have. Vigilance Eternal for 1 CP in your movement phase. Custodian Guard and only Custodian Guard can stick an objective. It is battle line, but Custodian Guard are our only battle line unit now. Then we have Archaeotech Munitions. This is in the shooting phase. Select either sustained 1 or lethal hits on your ranged weapons for that unit. With only 1 battle tactic, the character selection is more your own preference. You can take a Shield Captain if you want. Probably 1 is decent just so you can use Arcane Genetic Alchemy, but you don't really need to if you don't want to. It's your preference what characters you want to take. I don't really have too much of a preference on this one. The first character we have is the Alaris Terminators, and the Alaris Terminators are one, if not the hardest hitting unit we have in our Codex. Their ability, Slayer of Tyrants, allows them to reroll wounds against character, vehicle, or monster units. Combine that with the Martial Mastery crits on 5s for sustained hits 1. This unit can really put out some insane damage. Golden Light and the Deep Strike ability allows us to reposition this unit and use Rapid Ingress to maximize the Martial Mastery phase. We want to make sure we get as many units into combat as we can during this one phase of big damage, so having a way to reposition these guys, rapid ingress them, is great. Without as much defensive power, other than the -1 to hit roll in melee and Arcane Genetic Alchemy, the high toughness and wounds of the Alaris Terminators will help keep our units alive for that Martial Mastery phase. The shooting for the Alaris Terminators can be boosted with Archaeotech munitions, giving them even more horde clearing power with a sustained 1, or help punch into those heavier targets with the lethal hits ability, like the multi-potentiality stratagem in this detachment. Next for the shield host, we have the Custodian Guard. With the ability to reroll wounds to shooting and melee on objectives when we control that objective, paired with the Vigilance Eternal stratagem to make objectives sticky, I do believe that this is the best attachment for Custodian Guard. During the Martial Mastery phase, we want as much reroll the wound roll across our entire list as we can get, so having some Alaris Terminators around there, some Custodian Guards on objectives, just to try to pile up as much wounds as we can during that Martial Mastery phase. They're now a bit more expensive for the points since we lost some of the durability to the overall faction, especially with the new missions coming out. Custodian Guard are going to be more important and more targeted than ever. And for our final unit, we have the Custodian Wardens. Wardens are great in every detachment in the Codex. I like them quite a bit in the shield host, just so we have a tough, durable unit to hold on to objectives and push towards the enemy. The Martial Master ability allows us to get past the lower damage potential of the Warden's data sheet while still having all the toughness of that data sheet. Unwavering Sentinels will really help these Wardens stay alive with their -1 to hit, and if you're attacking them with higher than their toughness, they'll give them a -1 to wound as well, so really help them in their survivability, but it's not nearly as good as the old Fight First, but we'll take anything we can get right now. So now we have Talons of the Emperor. And the Talons of the Emperor's detachment rule is revered companions. Psychona units gain the Null Aegis ability, while an Adeptus Custodes unit is within 6 inches of the Psychona unit. That unit gains a 5+ feel no pain against mortal wounds and psychic attacks. All other Adeptus Custodes units, so anything other than a Psychona unit, will gain the Deadly Unity ability. And this one is while a Psychona unit is within 6 inches of that unit, the Psychona unit gains a +1 to hit. This detachment, in my humble opinion, is the best and the most fun detachment in the book. The reactive movement stratagem allows you to stay focused and move your models during the enemy turn. The stratagems and the enhancements make for some great movement tricks and to be a lot harder to kill than your opponent might think. Almost impossible to pin down for long, with the most access to useful battle tactic stratagems in the entire codex as well. So the stratagems we have is Hunt as 1 CP, fall back, shoot and charge, amazing. Talons interlocked for 1 CP, improve the ranged weapons AP and strength by 1. That's great on Draxus and a guard unit perhaps. We have Empiric Severance for 1 CP in your shooting phase, a 4-up feel no pain against mortal wounds or psychic attacks. Then we have Emperor's Executioners, and this is a battle tactic that we can use for free with a shield captain, and it usually costs 2 CP and +1 to the wound roll if your enemy target is below starting strength. Then we have my favorite stratagem in the detachment, if not the codex. It is Taloned Pincer. For 1 CP, it is a battle tactic, so yes, you can use this one for free as well. Opponent's movement phase, move up to 6 inches if an enemy ends a normal, fallback, or advanced move within 9 inches of that unit. Okay, so the first unit for Talons of the Emperor is the Custodian Wardens. Just like the Shield Host, having some tough infantry to hold on to objectives is fantastic. And with the Shield Captain attached, we can use a reactive move for free every opponent's movement phase using Taloned Pincer. With the Hunt as 1 stratagem for fallback and charge, and a once per game 4-up feel no pain, makes the unit of Wardens very dangerous to charge into. We can't really go wrong with taking several units of the Custodian Wardens in the Talons of the Emperor detachment. And next in the list, we have a Shield Captain. With 2 fantastic battle tactic stratagems we can take advantage of with the Shield Captains, make a battle tactic 0 CP and use it for twice per phase ability. Taloned Pincer and Emperor's Executioners are both battle tactic, targeting the Captain's unit, so we can use them for free. 1 Shield Captain attached to 5 Wardens is an auto-include for any of my Talons lists, with one exception. In the last unit for Talons of the Emperor, I have a Venerable Land Raider. This detachment allows so many interactions with the Land Raider. We can reactive move it with the Taloned Pincer, we can fall back and charge with the Hunt as 1, protect it from mortal wounds with Empiric Severance, or the best of all, use Taloned Pincer to re-embark inside the Land Raider. We can make a scary Land Raider with 5 Alaris Terminators with the Alaris Shield Captain. That that is my one exception. You charge over the Land Raider, in our turn, kill a unit, and then in the following opponent's turn, you can use Talon Pincer for 0 CP with the Shield Captain, and get back inside the Land Raider if the opponent moves within 9 inches of that Terminator unit. This is the best detachment for the Venerable Land Raider. With the firepower it has and the tricks we can pull off, this unit may even pull ahead of the Caladius Grav Tank for anti-tank in the Talons of the Emperor, just because it has so much utility and other things you can do with it. These 3 units will make a great starting point to building any list for each detachment. If you're looking for a more in-depth discussion on the detachments, I have full breakdowns of each detachment on the channel. And I'm never here to say this and using that is the only way to play. I wish we had a little bit more unit variety. Warden spam is getting old. The Codex did give us some different ways to play, but sadly not much incentive into playing different units. I always say I would rather be positive than negative. I enjoy building lists. I enjoy playing Warhammer. I don't like to focus on the negative that much. As always, if you notice I missed anything or even disagree on anything I said, throw it in the comments. I try to answer every comment just to try to build us a nice community to help each other get better. I'm not too proud to make a mistake. We have some great people who are active in the comments that take the time to answer questions, and to those people, I say thank you. As someone's trying to help players get better, it truly means a lot. And like I always say, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by.